Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Indian Achievers Forum, I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you. And Indian Achievers Forum has always been at the forefront of driving conversations that matter, be it leadership, innovation, or social impact. So, today's webinar on data privacy and protection in a digitally connected world addresses one of the most pressing challenges of our time. And as technology continues to evolve, the need to protect our digital identities and personal data has become more critical than ever. And we are delighted to have with us a panel of experts who will shed a light on this important topic. And to start this important discussion, I now hand over the session to Dr. Shabnam Asthana, who's the director of Indian Achievers Forum. So over to you, Dr. Asthana.
Thank you, Vatika. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on this important and timely discussion. As our lives become increasingly digital, whether through smartphones, smart homes, or online services, our personal data is more connected and more vulnerable than ever before. But on a larger scale, what about organizations and the huge volumes of data that have to be handled? Today, we'll explore the challenges, responsibilities, and strategies involved in protecting data privacy in this rapidly evolving landscape. We are joined, like Vatika said, by a panel of experts, and it's my pleasure to introduce them today. We have Mr. Prashant Das, editor CSR Times. Prashant Das has an illustrious career spanning over 3 decades in branding, digital marketing, and journalism. With his rich expertise and profound insights, he has significantly contributed to the success and evolution of CSR Times English magazine since its inception in 2013. Prashant brings a unique blend of strategic vision and journalistic integrity to his role, ensuring that CSR Times continues to be a trusted source of information and inspiration in the realm of corporate social responsibility. So, Prashant, can you please enlighten us with your views on how important is data privacy when it comes to branding? Yes, Prashant?
Thank you so much for inviting me to this discussion. And I extend my welcome and greetings to the other panelists also. Uh, this digital data privacy thing has been uh, important as it was never before. Let me start with an analogy. Suppose there's a party going on. The people called branding, digital marketing, and journalism are there, along with data privacy, which is oxygen. Now, oxygen is often not seen, so and it is more often than not taken for granted also. So once this oxygen is compromised, this data privacy, which I'm referring to as oxygen, when it is compromised, the entire party goes haywire. So nobody then it becomes interested. Neither branding, nor digital marketing, nor journalism would like to be in that party anymore because the oxygen has been compromised. So that is the kind of importance data privacy has in this era. Now coming to branding, the importance of data privacy in branding is like trust. Now, for example, recent past, there has been a scandal called Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal, where data of millions of users was compromised. So, to ensure that that thing does not happen, the data privacy by the brands has become more important. Not only it hampers the uh, you say hampers the image of the brand, but also hampers the trust that the users have on that brand. Now coming to digital marketing, the data privacy is all about relevance. When it comes to digital marketing, we all have our phones in hand and we scroll through Facebook or Instagram, and we often see the ads which are there. Now you don't want to see uh, ad on dog foods when you have a cat in your home. So it is all about relevance. Now you also don't want to see an ad of something which you have just thought of, which pops up on your screen, which kind of uh, make you suspicious of whether you are being watched. Suppose I've thought of buying a shoe, and I've scrolled a couple of ads of shoes. Next moment, I am seeing the flood of those advertisements on shoes. So my suspicious, I become a little suspicious about who is watching me. So that kind of importance of data privacy should be there in digital marketing also. That the consumer should not be imposed with the ads which are although relevant, but it should not be forced imposed on them. And coming to journalism, it is all about protection of the end user, or the sources from where the news is coming. For example, in the recent past, maybe about a couple of years ago, there was a scandal of Pegasus, where the data of users was manipulated to do what do you say, to do the narratives. So that kind of data privacy in journalism is also very important. So you see, data privacy, whether it is branding, whether it is digital marketing or journalism, if it is not there, then the end user of those services or products are not going to be happy, or not going to uh, trust, or uh, what do you say, are not going to um, rely on those brands, or the platforms. That is the kind of importance data privacy has in today's world. Thank you.
Very well expressed. We were very curious about so many points which you have addressed and explained to us, especially the ads that keep popping up, and one
Yeah.
does wonder how that is coming in. Next, we move on to Mr. Dhruvil Anil Darji, Senior System Software Engineer, a seasoned software engineer at NVIDIA with deep expertise in AI, privacy aware systems, and safety critical technologies. With experience across both startups and industry giants, Dhruval brings a unique blend of innovation and pragmatism to data privacy challenges in connected systems. We are delighted to have you as a panelist today and would love to hear your views. May I start with asking you what, with your experience in privacy aware systems and AI, how do you see the role of artificial intelligence evolving in both enhancing and potentially compromising data privacy in connected environments?
Um, yeah. Hello, Dr. Shabnam. Thank you for inviting me. And yeah, so in my view, in terms of AI, right, if you will talk about the data privacy, that's basically, we can tell it as a double-edged sword when it comes to data privacy, where on the one side, AI can actually help us significantly enhance the privacy through advanced methods such as differential privacies, or federated learning and stuff like that, right? And also, like you say, vulnerabilities detection, anomalies detection, and stuff like that. So it can actually help us a lot, and I'm sure in the near future and also going forward, it will come as a very strong measure where we can actually enhance the privacy awareness using AI. But on the other hand, we also need to be little bit of more cautious in terms of privacy threats, as we can see that there are a lot of inferences running, right? For example, let's say in today's world, AI is everywhere. Like your smartphone, when you want to unlock your phone, right, you are just basically handing your phone in the screen and your face is detecting. So that's also basically AI, right? So when those things are happening at that time, we need to make sure that those, while inference runtime, that there are no such threats or attacks are coming, which basically uh, uh, where you basically reveal the sensitive information and stuff like that. So it's definitely there are more concerns there as well. So it's on the both side that how we are trying to structure it and how and where we are focusing more. So we definitely needs to use AI in more accelerated way to actually create more and more evolution in terms of our everyday lifestyle, and it's happening already. But on the other hand, we also need to basically be aware of all of these privacy threats, um, what we are basically seeing in usual inference applications, whatever we basically run on daily life. Um, so I guess it's basically in order to address that, it's very important to have some uh, frameworks we need to design in which, like from the starting point only, they basically fully focused on some transparency measures or ethical standards, and also basically principle by like design principles which are basically enhanced by AI as well, and also regular auditing AI systems, that we need to be aware as much as possible what's going on inside that black box. It's not completely possible to know everything inside of the black box, which we call it AI or deep learning system. Um, but it's possible. It's as much as we can. That's very important to know. I think that would be very important as well in the near future, I would say.
Thank you. With your technical expertise, I'm sure people don't have that, not all of us do. But are you aware of whether the awareness is actually creeping in now? People are sort of trying to read up or speak to people and find out about this very pertinent issue.
Yeah, I think so. It does. It has started happening, and I would also address the one of the example what actually Prashant shared before, which basically whenever we have started to think about something or talk about something, you start seeing the ads or something like that, right? So those kind of things started happening, and people are basically trying to get a little bit of more feared, and they have started questioning, and also especially when that if you just, let's say, I'll say very simplistic thing, just Google your name. If you Google your name, anybody, I'm sure you will find bunch of things over there. So that basically tells you that, hey, how many things you know Google knows about you, right? And that's a good thing in a way, because that's all public information. But there is one more thing I would say, that let's say if you are using an AI system, right, where there is some chatbot or there are multiple chat windows over there. So what happens is it basically collects information, right? And after having 100 chats, if for 101th chat, if you will ask, hey, tell me something about myself, I'm sure it will accumulate everything and basically tell you entirely everything about yourself. So I feel sometimes it's also a little scary to even to me as well. I think that's how people have started to realize, and people have started to question it, that hey, I we are now we have started now using AI in daily basis, in everyday basis. So, and we will be using it even more. So how do I distinguish my personal information, which I'm not going to give it to it, versus I still want to solve all of my problem using the same thing which I'm really relying upon? It's not very easy thing to do, and easy question to answer. Yeah, so in that aspect, it's very important to answer those such things.
Very interesting. Now we move on to our next panelist, Mr. Hardik Dharmesh Ruparel, Software Development Engineer 3. Hardik Ruparel is cloud technology expert and researcher specializing in cloud computing, data replication, and distributed systems. He works as a software development engineer 3 in the Bay Area, designing features for petabyte scale cloud storage solutions. With your expertise, Mr. Ruparel, in distributed systems and petabyte scale cloud storage, what are some of the key challenges in ensuring data protection and privacy at such massive scales?
And thanks for that great introduction, Dr. Shabnam. So here, when we speak of like data security or data privacy, there are two things that we need to look. So this is something called as a shared responsibility model. So when you like, for example, as an end user, I use like Google Photos on a day-to-day basis, right? So there is some level of security that is provided by the cloud providers, and of course, there are some responsibility on your end as well. So let's talk from the cloud provider's perspective, like, right? So there are a few securities that they provide is like encryption. They ensure that whatever data that is present there is encrypted. So if a malicious user gets an access to your data, or or an attack called as ransomware attack, the user might not be able to make out anything from that data because that data itself is like encrypted. So that is the benefit like they provide. And the other thing that they provide is something called as role-based access control, or we call as RBAC policies. So let's say I create a Google Doc. It's a simple example. I created a Google Doc. So when we click on the share button, right? So we see that we have to provide the email ID, or when we click on the share as a link, we have the access control that we can give, like as a viewer or a editor or a commenter and whatnot. So that thing is a generally followed principle everywhere for all the cloud storage companies that they provide. Is like not everyone can have access to your data. You can provide the permissions to the respective users. So that is something uh, the cloud provider provides. But now coming from our side, like as a user, also we are also responsible for our own safety, like security of the data. So let's say one common attack is called as a phishing attack. Let's say you get an email and with AI, as Dhruval mentioned, that with AI attacks are also getting stronger. I mean, imagine that AI can generate, or if you can give them the draft and you can ask that, hey, can you generate a similar email with a similar writing? Now, I would not be able to detect if it's actually a legit email or an AI generated email phishing attack, basically. So we have to be extra cautious right now of what links to click, or how to navigate from these attacks. So these are some responsibilities on our end. And of course, like one of the major important like things that we do is when we sign up on a website, right? For example, we have to make sure like there's a something called as a minimum data that you should provide to the website or to any platform that you sign up to. Like let's say if there is an option of not providing a phone number, I think you should not provide your phone number, basically. So the least amount of data that you can give out, the lesser is the risk. So basically, if there are these two things that we follow, right? Like one that is not in our control, that the cloud provider provides, but us being extra cautious, then I'm pretty sure that data protection can be possible, and is very the security provided right now is very robust.
Very well said, because like from gathering whatever you said, personal protection, what we can do at our level is the foundation, and then we can build up on that and then take it to a
Correct.
higher level. But each one of us is empowered with that ability to personally protect our data in whatever
Correct.
capacity we can. And that
Correct.
awareness, I guess, has come to a quite a high degree of level where people are aware these days.
Correct.
So, very interesting. I would not like to leave off at the moment without asking another question to Mr. Dhruvil Darji. Could you please tell us, given your background in safety critical technologies, what practices or principles do you believe are essential when building secure systems that manage sensitive data across interconnected devices?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, for sensitive data, demands in especially interconnected devices demands a very systematic approach in basically some of the, in my experience, some of the principles and practices we need to follow. Like I would say, initially, the design we come up with, it has to be very secure, right? And also basically secured and privacy, right? So that is very important from the starting point. So what happens usually is whenever this we talk about apps or something sensitive data in this interconnected devices, what happens is we start making something and we don't really think about all the components with securities, and we keep building, and after that, if they start adding securities, it becomes hard to maintain over that, and probably it's a risky system, we can tell it like that. So we have to start from like basically earliest stages if someone is trying to make something. That is the first thing I can say. There is also some other term called zero trust architecture. What does that mean is basically, let's say you have some x amount of nodes in your system, so you need to make sure that each and every nodes are authenticated and encrypted securely. You cannot basically leave anything just because probably, hey, this is not important node, or this is not very important, this is less important, it should not be like that. You have to have a zero trust architecture. It should be, nothing should be trusted if it is going in prod, simple like that. So, and also there is also something called like I think vulnerability is very important. I also mentioned earlier that vulnerabilities and like for example like a penetration testing, something like that, right, where basically we need to understand that, hey, these systems are continuously monitored and those vulnerabilities are basically getting checked at every fixed frequency, and very regularly using some security protocols. So that is technically, I would say, this sort of checks, this sort of test should be automated so that it's not going to miss out on any such things. Then I would say, I think one more topic I also covered there, which would be transparent and explainable AI. That is also very important. So if let's say your AI is a black box, but if your AI is that black box that even you don't know what is going on inside or anything like that, or if it is random, or if it is very random, that's also a big threat. It's a very big threat because it should be actually very transparent, it should be trustworthy, and it should be something which is able to explainable, right? If it is not explainable, then that system or product is not good, because you cannot tell user what will come out of it. So that is very important. Then I would say one more thing I would add on top would be something like recovery plans or redundant systems. That is very important, because in AI system, everywhere there is a risk of critical failures or something like that, some other threats, but there is a recovery plans should be proper, and also some redundant system should be there. If something is getting attacked and something is failing, then it should basically, some other redundancy should kick in, and it should basically take over. So if you basically take care of this sort of principle from the beginning of creating any product, I would say, so I think organizations can actually achieve some robust security and postures using that, and ensuring that all the sensitive data what we have should be basically protected in this interconnected devices and systems using such techniques, I would say.
Thank you. That's interesting. I would like to pose one final question to Mr. Hardik Dharmesh Ruparel. How can emerging innovations in cloud architecture help organizations enhance their data privacy frameworks while still optimizing for performance and scalability?
So that's a really great question, actually. So, okay, so there are a few attacks that are evolving as well. Like if we speak of like, right now we are entering into a quantum era, right? Like a lot of companies are coming up with quantum chips, right? So there is a research paper that I was reading that which said that the current encryption technologies might not hold against the quantum chip. Basically, it can, easily decrypt without having the required keys. So what a lot of companies what they are doing is they are investing heavily right now, and I think one of the major thing that people are doubling their bets on is, I think, zero trust security. And I think Dhruval mentioned it correctly, as zero trust is something that whatever your system receives from any user, you will not trust it, even though that user is like an authentic user, right? it won't be trusted. It has to go through a bunch of security checks, and those security checks are getting more streamlined day by day. So let's say when we speak of performance, right? I mean, if we speak of like these small things, like simply computing like a MD5 hash, or like a key or something, like an encrypted MD5 hash of a data or a payload, right? That is a huge, like computationally intensive operation. So what happens is it increases the latency and decreases the performance. Now there are techniques that what that can be done is, let's say you have if you have like 10 sets of security checks that you need to do, right? So there is some that probably you can spin up like another service that you can parallelly process the other kind of security checks, and then at the final you can do something called as like a scatter gather. When you finally are done with all the security checks, you provide the report to the user. So you can introduce some kind of parallelism here to help improve the performance of the system, but also kind of like trying to improve every service to make it like to make the code very optimal. Let's say when I talk about like zero trust security, like so ODZ, or let's say you want to test a user, so there is something called as an IAM service, which is like an identity access management, which is very a common service in cloud, which does not give authorization to any user just to access the data. So now what perform to improve the performance, what they are doing is like they are probably like enhancing the IAM service in a way that as I said, like they can introduce multi-threading, parallelism, or concurrency, so that each request is executed faster but in a more secure way day by day. So I think these few things can be done to help improve the security while not taking a hit on the performance of the system.
That's interesting. I would like to go to Prashant and ask him one important question, which just arose, out of the discussions that we had. That, if a person Googles, one of the panelists told us that, if you just sort of put your name on ChatGPT or Google, a lot of data comes about you, personally. So from the media point of view, are people hesitant to now put something to the media? Because if what happens, you get a whole lot of information which comes up. So has the media role sort of taken a hit because of that, or is it more of a bouncing board? If you see that this is the kind of platform from where you can feed some information or talk about yourself, and this is what people see. So some closing remarks, Prashant, on the kind of media that this has evolved from. Yes.
See, from the journalism point of view, when it comes to data privacy, as a service provider, as a journalist who is gathering information, you have to be very empathetic towards the source, whether it is from a person or from any platform, that the information which you are getting should be used in a very ethical manner, not to harm anybody's private life, not to harm anybody's privacy. And from the user's point of view, when you upload some kind of information on the net, it is going to remain forever until the world ends. It is going to remain forever. So you have to be cautious what kind of information you must upload or what kind of information you should not upload. Your personal life should never be on the net. So when it comes to data privacy, these are the two things from the user's point of view and from the service provider's point of view, which must be taken care of.
Yes, well spoken and interesting. We need to mull about that and be very careful with what we put out. Any closing remarks from the esteemed panelists again, for maybe Mr. Darji or Mr. Ruparel? Any closing remarks before we end this insightful discussion?
Well, I would say we should. I think it's very similar to what as well as Prashant explained, right? We need to be ready with AI engaging in our life more and more, and be very cautious about personal data. That's all I say.
Okay. So with this, we close today's session on this intriguing and pertinent subject. Thank you for joining us and sharing your wonderful insights as together we have explored the evolving landscape of data privacy. I'm sure it would not be incorrect to say that the journey doesn't end here. One must stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep the conversation going. Thank you so much. Vatika, you may take over now.
And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Shabnam Asthana also. So, thank you so much, Dr. Asthana, for taking out this valuable time and moderating this session so well. And thank you so much to all the other panelists for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day.